Hi, Year 6. So today's topic lesson is all about understanding the Mayan religion. So much of the lives of the ancient Maya focused around, it really centered around their religion and in particular gods of nature. So we know we've spoken about the gods of maize, corn, rain. Obviously, they believed that they were very, very important because they helped the crops to grow, which then in turn fed the community, which obviously kept everybody fit and healthy and well. So they didn't just believe in one god, they believed in many gods and goddesses for different things. And they also believed that their priests, who were incredibly important in Mayan civilization, could also speak to the gods and goddesses. And then that gave the priests incredible power. So they were extremely powerful people within the communities. And you'll notice there at the picture of one of the priests, he's got a very large headdress made from feathers. And if you remember from before, so the larger the headdress, the more important the person was. So you can see from that that this person was extremely important. As mentioned on the previous slide, the priests were the most powerful people in the Mayan civilization. So they made decisions on nearly everything that happened within the communities and within the larger civilization. So they decided everything in daily life. They decided when crops should be planted, when people should marry, who they should marry, and also the quite scary decision of who was going to be sacrificed. So the Maya believed that it was incredibly important to show respect and to show the gods how important they felt they were. And they did this by worshipping the gods of nature every day. So you can see there we have some statues of depicting the gods, what they the Mayas believe they may look like. We've also got somebody dressed as a Maya, so that you can see there with the very large headdress, and they've also got the inked drawings on their body. And then we've even got cartoon characters on the right hand side, so even modern day television programs now depict the Maya and how they used to worship the gods and the outfits and things that they used to wear. So, as we've mentioned previously, the gods and goddesses of nature were the most important to the Maya. So, we've spoken about some of them in the past. We have the god of rain, the god of maize, which is corn, and then one of the most important, the god of sun. So, without these important gods and goddesses, there wouldn't have been any crops. They wouldn't have been allowed to, well, they wouldn't have been able to grow. They would need sun, they would need rain in order for them to grow and to feed the communities. So, without these, everybody would have starved, obviously. So despite the fact that so far we've looked at the positive sides of the gods and the goddesses, that they enabled crops to grow and to feed the communities, it's important to note that each god and goddess had both a good but also an evil side. So the most important deity, which is another name for a god, was the supreme, so the most important god, and that god was called Itzamna, and that he was the creator god, so was the god of the fire and the god of the earth. So he was considered to be one of the most important supreme gods. Two other very important gods were Kukulkan and Chak. So Kukulkan was the feathered serpent who appeared on many of the temples. And if you remember when we've been learning about Chichen Itza and we've been learning about the buildings within Chichen Itza, see if you can remember which one had the feathered serpent on it. And another one, as I mentioned, was Chak, and he was the hook-nosed god of rain and lightning. So a little fun fact for you. So all of the men in Mayan times used mirrors, but none of the women did, because in the ancient Mayan world, looking into a mirror was considered to be an act of courage, so an act of bravery. because they believed that the monsters from the place of Ar, which is also another word for the underworld where the demons lived, they could reach you through the mirror, and then they could lean in and yank you into the other world, so yank you and take you into the underworld. So it was considered to be a really courageous act looking into a mirror, and the men were considered to be braver than the women, which is the reason why they were the only ones who would use a mirror. Another very strong belief of the Maya was the afterlife. So they very much believed that once the person had died, that even though their body was no longer there, that their soul was, and it went to a different place. So nobles, who were the wealthier people, the more important people, they were buried in tombs, while commoners, so the workers, the people who maybe didn't have much money, didn't have many belongings, didn't have an important role in society, they buried their dead inside their homes underneath the floor, and that way that they could live with their ancestors, live with the person, because as I say, they believed in the afterlife. So even though the body was under the floor, they believed that the soul was still present, so that they could chat to them, keep their ancestors easily informed about what was going on in daily life. The Maya world was composed of, so it was made up of 3 layers. So they had the heavens, then they had the earth where they were living, and then they also had the underworld, which is sometimes known as the other world or the place of awe. And the Maya were very fearful of the demons who they believed lived in the underworld. So they would conduct many ceremonies and to keep the demons or the creatures and gods in the underworld, where the Maya felt that they belonged, so they would be protected on Earth. So the Mayan view of the afterlife was, it was quite terrifying, really. So they believed that there was an extremely dangerous voyage for the soul, which would take you through the underworld. And this underworld, as we know, was populated. It was made up of sinister gods, demons, which were represented by the jaguar, the symbol of the night. And they believed that you had to make this journey through the underworld, and then you would either remain in the underworld or you would go to heaven. So now it's your turn. So what I would like you to do today is I'd like you to design your own God. So you can have a flick through the PowerPoint again, have a look at some of the pictures, or you can just create completely your own God with anything at all that you want on there. So probably think about first, what do you want your God to be? Is it going to be a God of nature, something within nature, or is it going to be a God of something else? Or is it going to be a goddess? Is it going to be the female version? Think about what they will look like, okay? What will their power be? So what will they be able to do? And what influence does this have on people? So are you going to focus more on that, the positive side of them, the good side of them, or are you going to focus more on the evil side of them and what they could do? So you can draw, you can label, you can design it however you want. You could even make one. And we would love to see some pictures of those uploaded to Edmodo. Enjoy. Speak soon. Bye.